The atmosphere on BBC's live broadcast was electric as Diane Abbott, one of the most recognizable faces in British politics, unleashed a fiery tirade against Keir Starmer. The unexpected confrontation was broadcast live, leaving viewers stunned and social media abuzz. For decades, Abbott has been a stalwart of the Labour Party, a trailblazer who shattered barriers and paved the way for a more inclusive political discourse. Keir Starmer, on the other hand, represents a newer leadership style within the party, one that many have described as cautious and pragmatic. This live exchange was a rare and unfiltered glimpse into the simmering tensions within the Labour Party, a clash of ideologies and personalities that couldn't be contained behind closed doors. As the segment began, the discussion was supposed to center on Labour's vision for the future, but it quickly turned into something far more personal. Abbott's voice, sharp and unwavering, cut through the usual diplomatic tones of political discourse. "Keir," she began, "you've spent too much time pandering to people who will never vote for us and too little time addressing the concerns of those who have supported this party through thick and thin." Starmer, visibly taken aback, attempted to interject, but Abbott pressed on. "You've abandoned the very principles that make Labour what it is. What do you stand for, Keir? What does this party stand for anymore?" The tension was palpable, with the studio falling into an uneasy silence as Abbott's words echoed. Starmer's demeanor, usually calm and composed, faltered for a moment. He managed to reply, his tone measured but defensive. "Diane, I'm leading this party to win elections. Principles mean nothing if we can't govern." But Abbott's fiery passion wasn't so easily quelled. "Win elections? At what cost, Keir? By alienating the very people who have fought for this party? By selling out our values?" Her voice grew louder, her frustration evident. This wasn't just a disagreement over strategy. It was a deep ideological divide laid bare. Abbott's criticisms went beyond Starmer's leadership style. She accused him of diluting the party's identity, of trying to win over centrist and conservative voters at the expense of Labour's traditional base. "You've turned your back on working-class communities," she said. "You've failed to fight against austerity, against the erosion of our public services. And now you expect loyalty from those you've ignored?" The studio's host attempted to steer the conversation back to policy discussions, but by this point, the exchange had taken on a life of its own. Starmer tried to defend his record, pointing to Labour's recent improvements in polling numbers and his efforts to present a credible alternative to the Conservatives. Yet Abbott was relentless. "Polling numbers don't put food on the table," she shot back. "They don't save our NHS. They don't protect workers' rights." Her words resonated with a segment of the audience that has grown increasingly disillusioned with the political status quo. Viewers took to social media in droves, expressing both admiration and dismay. Some applauded Abbott for her courage and her unwavering commitment to her principles. "Diane speaks for the heart of the Labour Party," one tweet read. "We need more politicians like her who aren't afraid to tell the truth." Others, however, sided with Starmer, arguing that his cautious approach was necessary to make Labour electable again. "Abbott is stuck in the past," another tweet countered. "Starmer is doing what needs to be done to win. That's leadership." Back in the studio, the exchange reached its emotional peak when Abbott brought up the legacy of Jeremy Corbyn, the former Labour leader and a divisive figure within the party. "Under Jeremy," she said, "we may not have won, but we inspired millions. We gave people hope. What are we inspiring now, Keir? Mediocrity?" Starmer's expression hardened at the mention of Corbyn. "We're inspiring confidence," he countered. "We're showing people that Labour can be trusted to lead. That's how we bring about real change." The clash of perspectives, Abbott's idealism versus Starmer's pragmatism, was emblematic of a broader struggle within the Labour Party. It's a struggle that has played out in countless party meetings, in constituency offices, and now live on national television. For many, this exchange was more than just a political argument. It was a moment of reckoning. It forced viewers to confront difficult questions about the future of the Labour Party and the direction it should take. Abbott's anger wasn't just directed at Starmer, but at the state of British politics as a whole. She spoke of communities left behind by years of austerity, of young people disillusioned by a system that seems stacked against them. "We're supposed to be the party of the people," she said. "But how can we claim that when we're not even listening to them?" Her words were a rallying cry, not just for Labour members, but for anyone who has felt disenchanted with mainstream politics. By the time the segment ended, it was clear that this wasn't just another political debate. It was a moment that would be analyzed and debated for weeks, if not months, to come. Both Abbott and Starmer left the studio with their reputations changed in the eyes of the public. For Abbott, the exchange solidified her status as a fearless advocate for her beliefs, unafraid to speak truth to power. For Starmer, it was a reminder of the challenges he faces in uniting a deeply divided party. In the days that followed, the fallout from the exchange was significant. Media outlets dissected every word, every gesture. Political analysts debated whether Abbott's outburst would galvanize Labour's left wing or deepen the fractures within the party. Meanwhile, Starmer's supporters argued that the confrontation demonstrated his resilience and his ability to handle criticism under pressure. "This is what leadership looks like," one commentator wrote. "It's about standing firm in the face of dissent." Abbott, however, remained unapologetic. In interviews after the broadcast, she doubled down on her criticisms, insisting that she had spoken out because she couldn't remain silent any longer. "I did it for the people who feel like their voices aren't being heard," she said. "For the nurses, the teachers, the workers who keep this country running. They deserve better." Her words struck a chord with many, serving as a reminder of the passion and conviction that have defined her political career. For Starmer, the incident was a wake-up call. While he didn't publicly address Abbott's criticisms in detail, insiders suggested that the exchange had prompted serious discussions within his team. "We need to do a better job of communicating our vision," one advisor reportedly said. "People need to know what we stand for." Whether this will lead to any significant changes remains to be seen, but one thing is certain. The live broadcast will go down as one of the most memorable moments in recent British political history. The confrontation between Diane Abbott and Keir Starmer was more than just a clash of personalities. It was a reflection of the deep divisions within the Labour Party and, by extension, British society. It highlighted the challenges of balancing idealism with pragmatism, of staying true to one's principles while navigating the complexities of modern politics. And perhaps, most importantly, it reminded viewers of the stakes involved, of the real lives affected by the decisions made in Westminster. As the dust settles, one thing is clear. This moment will not be easily forgotten. It will serve as a touchstone for debates about the future of the Labour Party and the direction of British politics for years to come. Whether it ultimately strengthens or weakens the party remains to be seen, but it has undeniably left an indelible mark on the political landscape.